So this first one, write the equation in slope-intercept form. Now, we made this as a department. We put these little places for you to put your answers. It's a personal preference, so it is kind of set up for you. I will be really honest, that kind of messes me up personally. I don't really like that, but if it helps you, then use it. It's a you thing. Like whatever helps you, I want you to do that. Okay, the boxes kind of mess me up personally, but it's whatever helps you. So where does this line start? Like where's our starting point here? All right, good, -4. And then you got to find another pretty point, which I see one right there. 2/3. Do you see that? Up 2/3? Yeah. So your equation is y equals 2/3x minus 4. That is your answer. Now, if it helps you to put that just on the little lines there, you can do that. If not, then don't. The reason it kind of messes me up is because do you see how that's a plus sign, but we had a -4? Like, I just don't want that to confuse anybody. So do what helps you. I want you to not be confused. So whichever helps you. Go ahead.
I just X'd it out before.
Place. Yeah, that's fine too. I will be able to grade whatever you give me. I will understand it. I promise. Okay. So same thing with this one. These are your ingredients. You just have to put it into the recipe. And this is where this might help you a little bit because your recipe is kind of there. It's sort of filled in for you. I'm just going to write it off to the side because that's what I like to do. It's going to be y minus which one of those numbers? There's only 3 numbers here. Good. 2. How come it's the 2? Because that's the y number. All right. Equals, and then what number? Yeah, -3/4, parenthesis.
X plus 8.
Now, why is it plus 8? Because it's a minus a negative. So again, that's the answer. If it helps you to put it on these lines, you can totally do that. You need to change that to a +8, like just put an extra line through it so it's a +8. Again, whatever works for you. I will be able to grade whatever you give me. Now, there are 2 steps of work to turn that into slope-intercept form. You're going to distribute through the parentheses. So y minus 2 equals what? -3/4x. Now, you would do -3/4 times 8. If you don't know what that is, what are you going to do? Type it into Desmos. I'm going to just go ahead for the sake of time and tell you it's -6, but you would type -3/4 times 8. We all clear on that? All right. And then what's the last step there?
-2.
+2. Good. And line it up. It's more about organization than being smart. It's about staying organized. So your final answer is y equals -3/4 x minus 4. If you didn't know what -6 plus 2 was, type it in the calculator. I get that negatives are hard. And again, if you want to put that on these lines, you can. Would look like that. If you don't want to, then that's fine too, as long as I can see your answer. Now, standard form is the one that we haven't done as much with. It's the one that was x, then y, then the equal sign. It was ax plus by equals c. Do you remember that? You're just rearranging it to get it in another order. The first thing that we're going to do is move the x's over. So I'm going to add the 3/4 x to the other. You're just moving stuff. That's all it is. It's like a little bit tedious and annoying, but it's not hard. Just move that to the other side. Now, what order do you want to put it in?
3/4 x.
Yeah, the x comes first. Good. So 3/4 x plus y equals what's still left? Good, -4. And then you have one more step. We have it in the right order, but you're not allowed to have a fraction. I don't know. Somebody was just like, hey, no fractions. So to cancel that out, good, perfect. You're going to times everything by a 4. Which again is not hard. You can multiply by 4. It's just one more thing to have to do. I'm on your side on that. Okay. So that will cancel these. That was the whole point. All right. So it'll be 3x plus 4y equals what? You know 4 times 4? 16. Good. But if you didn't, you would type it in the calculator. And then if you want to, you can put those numbers on. You know, it's not a bad idea to type it, even if you think you know the answer, just to double check. You want the answer to be right, don't you? I mean, use your resources. All right, now this says vertical. Is that the HOI or is that the VUX in the little acronym? VUX, good. So that means your answer is x equals something. It is x equals some number. We played a Quizlet on this. Which one of these numbers is the x number? 1. Follow-up question. If it says horizontal, then it would be y equals -5. Good job. Okay, cool. First page went well. Good, you guys are carrying now. This is fantastic. Do you know that the quizzes are a lot easier for me to grade when all the answers are right? So I really want you to like, all right, write an equation that goes through these 2 points. The first thing you need is the slope. Do you remember the little slope formula? I'll write it out off to the side here. Good, subtract y. And don't hurt yourself. Over x2 minus x1. If you don't want to write that, that's fine. If you're like, yeah, I know it, that's cool. If you want to write it, that's what it is. You subtract y, you subtract x, you put it in the calculator. So which are our y numbers? Good. So -5 minus 6 divided by, and then your x numbers, 0 minus 2. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the calculator. Let me just make sure I'm on the right screen. Oh, I'm not. All right, hold on. Let me get rid of all this stuff I was doing here before. Share. I'm going to type that in. What was it? -5 minus 6 divided by 0 minus 2. It came out to a decimal. I'm going to hit the little fraction button, turn it back into a fraction, 11 halves. I won't take off if you write a decimal, but fractions are better for slope. All right, so 11 halves. We all good? Now you can just go ahead and write your answer. You don't have to do any more work because you were given the y-intercept. Do you see it? Which number is your y-intercept? Do you see that? Why is it the -5? There's a 0. So it is y equals what? Just write the answer. 11 halves x minus 5. Boom, that's it. Will it be like that on your quiz? It's going to be right there. All right, and then we've got one parallel and one perpendicular. Parallel means same slope. So whatever slope this has, that's what we want. What's the slope of this line? Just the 4. That happens all the time. I know what you mean. X is not part of the slope. It's just the 4. Now, I told you to scribble that out. Once you figure out what your slope is, scribble it out. Because the common mistake is people try to use that. You don't need it for anything. These are your ingredients. Put them in your recipe. If you forget the recipe, it's actually right here on the paper with different numbers in it. Okay. But you guys have done really well with this. I think you'll be okay. Y minus, which one of those numbers? 9. Good. Y minus 9 equals 4 parentheses. Perfect. And then you have 2 steps of work. It's always 2 steps. You're going to distribute. So that'll be 4x minus 8. Good job. You guys are doing excellent with this. This is going to go really well. All right. And then your last step, plus 9. So that'll be y equals 4x plus 1. If you didn't know -8 plus 9, or you just wanted to check, type it in the calculator. Use your resources. All right. Last one. This one says perpendicular. You have to change the sign. So if it's positive, make it negative. If it's negative, make it positive. And flip it. Do you remember that? Like if it's 2/3, you make it 3 halves. Now this one's a little tricky because there's a 1 in it. If you take the 1/5, you flip it, it's 5. And then you change the sign. So -5. Did everybody get how I got -5? You take 1/5 and you flip it. It was positive, so we made it negative. Scribble that out. You don't need that for anything else. All you needed to do was figure out your slope. And actually, let me look at your quiz. It's like that on the quiz too. It's a 1 over something, just not a 5. Okay. These are your ingredients. Do your recipe. It'll be y minus plus 2. Good. Fantastic. That's awesome. Equals -5 parentheses minus 3. This is going so well. I'm so proud of you guys. This is awesome. 2 steps. You're going to distribute. That'll be -5x. Ooh, -5 times -3. Positive 15. But type it in the calculator to check. There's no reason to get something wrong when you can use the calculator. And then the last step is -2. Now, do not stop listening to me the second I finish this. It's going to be y equals -5x plus what? 13. We're not going to just throw this aside. Hold on. Before I hand you this quiz, I want you to look back through it and see if you have a question about any of them. I don't want to just fly through this and then fling it at the wall and have you still not know what's going on. Number one, are you good with counting the little boxes? Okay. In my opinion, the hardest one is the standard form one, because we just do less with that. I think the rest of it's pretty much okay. Like, so you guys are setting it aside. Any last minute question? Or, hey, I need another one like number whatever. I'm not trying to brag, but I can make them up all day long. I'm pretty good at it. Thank you. The standard form. If you don't want to write it down, that's fine. Just watch. Give me a fraction, something little though. Let's do 3/4 x plus, give me a single digit number. 8. Okay. So if you want it x then y then the equal sign, your first step is subtract over the x's. Cool? Now what order do you want to put this in?
X first.
X first. So -3/4 x plus y equals 8. And then what is your last step? Because somebody decided you're not allowed to have any fractions. Times 4. It's whatever that denominator is right there. Oh, actually, this one's going to have one extra step. -3x plus 4. Oh, does anyone know 8 times 4? If not, you could put it in the calculator, but I'm just checking. It's 32. It doesn't turn out this way on your quiz, but let me just make sure I'm not lying to you. You're not allowed to have a negative, so you divide everything by a -1. That doesn't happen on your quiz, but just everything will change its sign. Again, somebody just decided you can't start with a negative number, so you just multiply everything by a negative or divide everything by a negative. Yes, or we could have multiplied by a -4. Very good, and it would have taken care of it all in one step. I was actually going to do that, but I didn't want to confuse anybody, so that's why I did it 2 separate steps. Very good.